Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. I hope you're having a great day in Jesus. We're going to look at one of the most iconic Bibles of history, especially American history, the Aitken Bible, the Aitken Bible. No, not the Atkins diet. And this came from our good friends at Great Site Marketing. Of course, we bought it. They did not send it to us. John Jeffcoat can feel free to send us stuff. We would be happy to receive it. But be that as it may, and we'll just jump right to the back here and let you see. Let's see if we can get it. Looks like it's falling out. This is a page from the Aitken Bible. Now you might say, well, why? Some little Bible from 1782 and they're selling a page. First of all, it's extremely rare. Secondly, this is known as the Bible of the American Revolution. It was the first Bible printed in English in America. Now, one of the unintended consequences that you had in the Revolution, let's see if we can get that, it keeps falling out, was all the Bibles were printed in Great Britain. And so when the Revolution hit, obviously there was an embargo, and one of the things that was embargoed was the Bible. And America was obviously an overwhelmingly Christian nation at that time. Even people who may not would have considered themselves Christian in a certain sense still read the Bible, and the Bible is a textbook in the schools. And so this was done with an emergency call of Congress that they should print Bibles and have it paid for. And so this is the Aitken Bible, or the Aitken Bible of 1782. So this little booklet comes with it too. Let's just read a little bit in the booklet. The page, title page of the Aitken Bible, title page of the Aitken Psalms and Meter, signature of Robert Aitken, mark of Robert Aitken used on verso of title leaf in the Bible, original leaf from the Aitken Bible, second title page of the Aitken Bible, portrait of Robert Aitken, the Bible of the Revolution, an essay by Robert R. Dearden Jr. and Doug Watson, Coffee House in Philadelphia in Robert Aitken's time, portrait of General Washington, and a note on the topography of the period. So let's go to this page 11. Page 11. And see, okay, so the Bible of the Revolution, we'll just let you see what's going on in here. Appreciate they send this little tiny leaf with this booklet. That really helps. A little certificate of authenticity from Craig Lamp. He and John Jeffcoat and Jonathan Bird of Jonathan Bird's Cafeteria that used to be there in Greenwood, Indiana. I wish that it was still in Greenwood, Indiana. But I think they've shut it down. I think it's a Camping World now or something. Who knows? Or a banquet facility, something. And they probably have a better selection of Bibles and ancient literature of a Christian nature than even the Smithsonian. At least that's what they kind of purport. So let's read just a little bit in this. The Great Hall of the beautiful building housing the Library of Congress in the city of Washington has become a national shrine. In it, the Declaration of Independence has been placed in a marble and metal reliquary, a fitting setting for the foundation stone of our national existence, whose worldwide message was heralded by the ringing of the Liberty Bell. Within the covers of this little book reposes another sacred American relic, a leaf from the Bible of the Revolution. This leaf is a reminder of the abiding faith of the founders of our republic, and the guidance of divine providence. These same men whose fading signatures even today bring a surge of patriotism to the heart of beholder, who pledge their lives and honors by writing their names beneath John Hancock's on the Revolutionary Scroll of Fame, which I was reading the thing about John Hancock. Incredible. This American Minute you can get by Bill Federer. It's free to your inbox every morning. Wealth of information. As a matter of fact, I kind of save them up. So that way, if I'm ever at a place like I don't have internet, I can still pull up those emails and read them, because every day it's like a book, but it's only 2 or 3 pages. So you get a ton of information. Small. Bill Federer. It's called the American Minute. And anyhow, So I think that's where I got the John Hancock stuff. And it claimed its advent by solemn resolution of the Congress in the same Independence Hall in the city of Philadelphia, where they had signed the Declaration of Independence. So they said, okay, we need a Bible, and they did it at the same place that they signed the Declaration of Independence. The Bible of the Revolution is a national document, and the printing of the scriptures for the first time in our mother tongue in America by Robert Aitken in Philadelphia is part of our national history. 7 years before Thomas Jefferson put into words the thoughts of freedom-loving Americans, Robert Aitken had come from his native Dalkeith in Scotland to settle in Philadelphia. And there he set up a bookseller and began the publication of the Pennsylvania Magazine. It's rather interesting to know that the turning point in Thomas Paine's career was his meeting with Franklin in London, that the future author of Common Sense afterwards embarked for America with letters from Franklin to his son-in-law, Richard Bach, co-founder with Robert Aitken of the Pennsylvania Magazine, to whom Bach introduced Paine. So Aitken lived in the same revolutionary atmosphere which surrounded Franklin, Bach, and Paine. He was an avowed patriot. So this is just an amazing time in history. Now, a couple books I'll recommend by Peter Marshall, a former chaplain of Congress, called Sea to Shining Sea. And it's how God's hand has been in America. If you read the book, you won't have any doubt of God's hand in America. And then The Light and the Glory, kind of the sequel to that. Absolutely amazing, by Peter and Catherine Marshall. And Catherine Marshall was a great writer in her own right, wrote books on Jesus and all of this. And then the other one is by Tim LaHaye, The Faith of Our Founding Fathers. Incredible information. Now, of course, Federer, who I mentioned has that does the American Minute, has America, God, and Country, that is unreal. And nobody reading that could say that the America was not founded on Christian principles. There's other books from like the 1860s written on the Supreme Court said America's a Christian nation. I mean, all right. It's just, we won't even go into all that. Okay, when the Congress, this is page 13, met in Philadelphia to take up the great task of organizing the resistance of the 13 colonies and from their several units to create a new nation, it was only natural that it should turn to Robert Aitken, bookseller, publisher, and printer, and known to all for his patriotic zeal, and place in his hands the publication of the Journals of Congress. The near approach of the British caused the Congress to flee from Philadelphia to Baltimore. And there, December 20th, 1776, this resolution was passed. Resolved that the committee appointed to superintend the printing of the Journals of Congress be empowered and directed to send an express to inquire whether Mr. Robert Aitken, who was employed in printing them, is or may be, and that they cause so much of them as already printed to be removed to this place, and to remove his press and utensils to this place at the public expense, provided that the said Robert Aitken shall be willing to come with them and perform this engagement of Congress. So that's pretty interesting. And they were paying them in continentals, if you remember, the not worth a continental, just inflationary to the degree people would decorate their houses with continentals. I hope America's Federal Reserve notes never end up in that type of history. All right. Okay, so first, page 14. Before the rupture with the mother country, the colonies had depended largely for their literature upon England, and entirely so for their Bibles in their native tongue. The Revolutionary War stopped importation, and at length the situation reached such an acute stage that the chaplain of Congress, the Reverend Patrick Allison Deedy, now think about this, there was a chaplain of Congress, must be Christian, placed before that body a petition praying for immediate relief. The memorial was assigned to a special committee which weighed the matter with great care, and on September 11th, 1777, it reported, the committee to whom, and somebody can have a great conspiracy theory there, the committee to the memorial of Dr. Allison and others was referred, report that they have conferred fully with the printers in this city and are of the opinion that the proper types for printing the Bible are not to be had in this country, and that the paper cannot be procured because it takes special paper to print the Bible because it's so huge. But with such difficulties and subject to such casualties that render any dependence on it altogether improper. that to import types for the purpose of setting up an entire edition of the Bible and to strike off 30,000 copies with paper binding will cost £10,272 and 10 shillings, which must be advanced by Congress to be reimbursed by the sale of the books, that in the opinion of the committee considerable difficulties will attend the procuring of types and paper, that afterwards the risk of importing them will considerably enhance the cost, that the calculations are subject to such uncertainty in the present state of affairs that Congress cannot rely on them, that the use of the Bible is so universal and its importance so great that your committee refer the above the consideration of Congress, and if Congress shall not think it expedient to order the importation of types and paper, the committee recommend that Congress will order the Committee of Congress to import 20,000 Bibles from Holland, Scotland, or elsewhere into the different parts of the State of the Union, whereupon it was resolved according to direct said committee to import 20,000 copies of the Bible. When the vote was taken, it was found that the resolution was carried but by one vote. Before the Constitution of the United States was adopted, the states voted, not the individual members of the Congress. As the resolution had barely carried, the matter was put over until Saturday next, and nothing more was heard of it. During the session in the fall of 1780, the demand for Bibles and the difficulty in procuring them was again before Congress. Under date of October 26, James McLean said, here's the following resolution. Okay, this motion, which McLean's handwriting was by order of the Congress referred to a committee, Revolutionary America Without Bibles, presented an impossible situation. In no country in the world was the good book then so relied upon. Faith in divine providence and the consolation and guidance of Holy Writ were necessary to all patriots in the struggle for liberty. Robert Aitken knew this, and he recognized the plight of the people of the newborn nation who found themselves without Bibles in the English tongue. A testament was better than no Bible at all. And during the agitation, he quietly set to work upon the printing of one. The small duodecimo is a very small Bible, bearing his imprint, was soon off to the press. The reception of this humble beginning, bearing the date of 1777, was heartening. A second edition appeared the year following, a third next, and the fourth in 1781. 3 doors above the coffee house in Market Street, a sign creaked in the breeze, the sign of the Pope's head, which told the passerby that there Robert Aitken conducted his business of selling books and printing them. All right, so let's just keep going just a little bit further. He must have received many words of encouragement, for on January 21st, 1781, he had presented to the Congress a petition announcing his determination, which was duly referred to committee, of which Reverend John Witherspoon and Thomas McKean, both signers, were members. Aitken had not only asked congressional sanction of his great work, but had pleaded for support. What form that support may take may be gleaned from the committee's report, which follows September 12, 1782. The committee, to whom was referred a memorial of Robert Aitken, printer dated 21st January 1781, respecting an edition of the Holy Scripture, report that Mr. Aitken has, at a great expense, now finished an American edition of the Holy Scriptures in English, that the committee have from time to time attended to his progress in the work. They also recommend it to the two chaplains of Congress, to examine and give their opinions of its execution. They have accordingly reported thereon the recommendation, and report being as follows. We will skip that. All right, chaplain's report. The attesting signature is that of Charles Thompson, the Secretary to the Congress. Thus, the Bible of the Revolution, now one of the world's rarest books, printed by Robert Aitken in 1782 with the approval of Congress. It was entirely American. Its small duodecimo leaves are of paper made in Pennsylvania. The brevier type employed is the same Robert Aitken used in the publication of 4 editions of the New Testament. In the British Museum is a copy of the Bible of the Revolution, bound in 2 volumes. On the back of the title page of the first, Robert Aitken wrote in his own hand, "This first copy of the first edition of the Bible ever printed in America in the English language is presented to Ebenezer Hazard, Esquire, by the editor." So that is absolutely amazing. 32 copies of Robert Aitken's great work are known to be in existence. Of those, but 2 are owned in England. and of all the rest are, as they should be, an American possession, largely in the safekeeping of our great libraries and historical societies. The copy now in the Library of Congress was purchased more than 40 years ago, at which time it was $650. Today it is priceless. Recently, the United States government purchased the Voltbier collection for the Library of Congress, and it was included in the Gutenberg Bible, for which Dr. Voltbier had paid the sum of $305,000 some 80 years ago. Mr. Henry Stevens acquired at auction a London copy of this rare book for the late James Lennox, Esquire, paying but $2,500 for it. So there's far fewer copies of the Bible of the Revolution than there are of the Gutenberg Bible. Now, I will tell you this, the Gutenberg Bible right now, individual pages go from $65,000 to $150,000, and a complete Gutenberg Bible, if one ever went on the market, would go for north of $20 million. I can remember when I could have gotten a copy of like a Wycliffe Bible for pretty inexpensive. The Tyndale Bible, of which there's only like 4 in existence, and one of those is a partial. Somebody says they think they might have found a 5th recently. But no more. Those things are way out of the price. Like a Wycliffe Bible goes for about $3 million now, I think, a real one. So anyhow, so that's the affidavit of originality, a page from one of the 32. And you'll notice too, Howell's able to get this really inexpensive. First of all, they run sales. If you're interested in old books, Bibles, theological things, Bible pages at all, like great sites dealt with 3 American presidents and stuff like that, get on their mailing list, John Jeffcoat, because they send out specials that are out of this world. Secondly, you can notice that the top and the bottom are different. And so Howell's able to get this really inexpensively. Show you this. It's been fixed. A professional Bible binder has fixed this particular Bible. And that's the only way, because obviously you couldn't afford something. I couldn't. Many of you probably could, but I could not. And I'm not sure that's a judicious use of money either. But it's just so fantastic. So this is Deuteronomy 28, the blessings and the curses. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, cursed shalt thou be in the field. If a nation turns away from God, that's what this is. Deuteronomy 28:17 through the first part of 54. So an original leaf from Robert Aitken's first edition Bible, printed in 1782. Pretty fascinating. God bless. I apologize for reading so much through this, but I felt it was necessary. Talk with you later. God bless.